There are few Minnesotans who have been as significant or as tireless a contributor to public life in the last 75 years in the state than Tom Swain. Tom has been a gubernatorial chief of staff. He's been executive at an insurance company. He's been a suburban mayor. He's been a University of Minnesota vice president twice. Now he's about to turn 100 years old. And several of us friends approached him and said, "What would you like to do for your birthday, Tom?" We were maybe thinking cake and ice cream. He was thinking climate change.
Well, it began about 14 years ago when I had attended a conference in St. Peter at Gustavus College. The teacher was a professor, and he had dealt with climate change for the first time I'd been subjected to it.
Jarring moment for me was 2005 when Hurricane Katrina happened.
It was actually an article that I read in 2014.
And it made an impression upon me that carried on.
It was a cautionary tale for this journey all over the planet of our climate refugees.
That article really brought home that we're all dependent on these interconnected systems that are starting to fail.
And you know what that means? It means that the livelihood of my great-grandchildren is in jeopardy.
Dedicating our energy to addressing climate change is the most impactful action that we can take to benefit future generations.
It is the most urgent, comprehensive face of the longer historical pattern of environmental injustice.
But we not only need to reduce emissions, we've got to eliminate them, and that requires action on the part of our state and national governments.
Learn about the policies and the ideas that are out there for tackling climate change.
Every citizen who cares deeply about this issue should be making their voice heard.
To simply just get involved, especially with your local government.
Supporting Indigenous and frontline activists vocally, financially, and physically.
I think all of us are ordinary, waiting for the extraordinary dialogue.
We have essentially a decade to transform all of our systems.
This is a scenario where all ships rise or all ships don't.
We just can't accept living as we are today. We must make fundamental changes.
We have an opportunity to truly conciliate our relationships with each other and the earth.
I see all of the disciplines and ways of knowing putting their heads together.
And where communities collectively resolve the burdens climate change may bring.
Because we can't sit back and become the fodder for the next generation who said, "You saw what was coming, why didn't you do something?"
So as terrible as the climate crisis is, I think it's pushed us to a moment of relational awakening. And my prayer is we grab it with our hearts full and our hands open.
That led to the creation of the Advancing Climate Solutions Now series at the University of Minnesota. In the spirit of citizenship, we invite you to join us in creating this brighter future together.